I'm Megan Mishler, and this is my Pecha Kucha presentation on the learning strategies and testing strategies that we have gone through in our Learning Strategies ATI book. And I'm excited to get into what works for me, what I've implemented, and what I've learned. Alrighty. Learning strategies are so important, and so I really appreciated getting to take the assessment in the chapter 1 of the Learning Strategies book to see where my strengths and maybe my weaknesses are, or just stuff I can work on in order to get my study and test taking strategies better. All right, so one of the insights I had was, or what I learned was, taking or studying in a environment similar to where you learned the material can be really beneficial, which I hadn't really thought about. So staying consistent with where I'm studying and learning my information will be helpful. Another insight I had from that first assessment was learning to not review information right before taking a test. I have done this in the past, and I do know it's better to just trust what you've learned and studied in the past instead of trying to cram it all in. Something that I'm working on is also taking notes while I'm reading through information in my textbooks. I'm trying to take an extra second just to get a sticky note or a note tab so that I know the questions that I would like to ask my professors through Zoom or email. I'm also trying to stay more organized. I've obviously tried to stay organized in the past, but being in nursing school now, it's really important to stay on top of everything. We have a lot of different assignments, a lot of different classes, and so just finding the best way that you're able to stay organized yourself. Which is what I'm working on. All right, and then again, just to kind of recap everything that I want to implement, and I'll continue to go through the book and look for what I can implement to make my studying and my test habits better. But mainly, one thing I'm really looking forward to is keeping my where I study consistent. And then also just making sure I'm really taking care of myself all around. So doing yoga, meditating, whatever you or myself thinks is right for them, just kind of incorporating that in to manage stress and anxiety. Another thing, I chose this picture just to show like calmness, whether this is like breaks or before taking a test. I tend to get pretty bad test anxiety, so just taking breaks throughout studying before a test to breathe and know it's going to be okay. I chose this picture to kind of show the progression of learning the right habits for yourself. So you start kind of unsure and like learning what works for you, and as you grow, you'll find what's really showing improvements in your scores and everything as you go through nursing. One important thing that I know about myself that I've been doing in current and in the past is I know that I'm definitely an auditory learner, so just working with like family, friends, study groups, and asking questions back and forth is really, really beneficial to myself. So I will tend to write down like study questions and answers and have my grandma or my husband or friends or study group, and we'll kind of ask questions back and forth because explaining to somebody is really how I retain it. Again, also getting a good night's rest is something that I strive really hard to do, and staying with a consistent routine. So going to bed at the same time, waking up early, making sure I'm getting a good night's sleep before a big exam, and just, feeling well rested goes a long way. And then another thing that really works for me is writing stuff down, and like I talked about the study questions, writing stuff down and teaching others is something that really works for me, because in order to teach others, you really have to know the information well for yourself. And so writing it down and speaking through it really, really works for me. And then also just looking back on what strategies am I doing, what is working for me, making sure to look at the big picture as this person is looking at their chess game, to figure out what should I do next, what's working, and yeah, just staying on top of everything. Having strong testing strategies and learning strategies in nursing school is really, really important. This is because the profession we're going into, we're really going to need to retain this information in order to pass the NCLEX. We're going to have good test taking and studying strategies. After nursing school, working as an RN, we will also still need to keep up on our learning strategies because we'll be working within a team of other doctors. We'll be working over LPNs, looking over their stuff. And so just staying on top of our learning in order to be a good attribute and making sure you're reliable is really important in healthcare. Adding to what I just said, again, very important as an RN to continue up with your learning strategies. Remember to take breaks when things get overwhelming, especially like working in a hospital. We're going to get overwhelmed. Asking questions if you need help, if you're not understanding, making sure you keep those skills. As a nurse, we'll be dealing with really, we'll be dealing with people's lives. And so keeping up knowing our practice, knowing how everything works, keeping up with our learning is critical to keep us and our patients safe. All right, and thank you so much for my presentation. Overall, find what study strategies and test-taking strategies work for you. I'm still trying to figure out what's best for myself, and I will continue to do that. All right, thank you so much.